Live from Sin City, it's the Socks and Pinstripes Podcast. And now, here's the star of the show, Giant Dr. Griffin!
This is Diet Dr. Griffin back with another episode of the Socks and Pinstripes Podcast. Like, rate, and subscribe. Shane's with us tonight. We're recording earlier than usual because Shane Areno here has got a trip that he may or may not want to tell us about.
Absolutely want to tell you about. So it's been my goal for a while now, but I'm just starting it to see all 30 ballparks in Major League Baseball. And unfortunately, I did not get to see the old Yankees Stadium before they moved to the new one. And so I'm not going to let the Coliseum pass me by. And I'm going to go with my brother, and my dad is actually joining us too to watch.
Oh, cool.
To watch the Oakland Athletics play in the Coliseum that they will no longer be playing in after this year. So
Now, I have been to the Coliseum, just not for a baseball game. So
yes, I've already told you that it doesn't count. So.
Yeah, it doesn't count, but it counts at least as saying I've been to that place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so much good history. Apparently, it's just a hot pile of garbage is what everyone says. But
it pretty much is. I mean, even when we went to the Raiders games there, Jeff and I, a few times, it wasn't really much better, and that was at least 10 years ago.
There's Shannon Dreyer of the she's the beat reporter for the Seattle Mariners, for everyone who doesn't know.
Yeah.
She was saying that in the visitors radio booth there's a family of possums that lives in there.
Yeah, the they've talked about that before going there for Raiders games.
Yeah, so it's pretty great. I hope I see one of the possums. So
they
get to see the Dodgers play, so that will be good. But then we're watching I think it's like the White Sox or something else. So.
Well, they as being the Las Vegas radio station has talked about going out to games for people who work for the RJ. Just for some context there.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
All right. Well, Mike Trout is officially done for the season. And
that surprises no one.
Yeah. I got a question for you. Who has played in more games this season, Mike Trout or Anthony Rendon?
Anthony Rendon.
That would be correct.
Yes.
He's only played in, I believe, 34 games if you count the game going on right now. And Mike Trout played in 29.
Yeah, I don't even think that Trout the last 3 years has even played 162 games. I don't even think he's played a full season of
No, he
games.
hasn't in some time. He typically gets injured every year, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it really is. I mean,
but at least he'll hopefully be back for the beginning of next season.
I just can't believe that he doesn't want to be on a better team. Like, he just seems satisfied with just playing half the year and hanging out in LA. And I mean, granted, like, it's a good gig if you got that gig, but
yeah, I get the feeling he doesn't want to be part of the limelight.
Yeah.
So he just kind of keeps to himself and just stays there in Anaheim where he doesn't have to really do anything. He can kind of just be there and play baseball and show up sometimes.
I feel like there's a lot of contending teams you can do that on right now.
Oh, I know that, but he signed his deal years and years ago, and he's got 6 years, $200-something million remaining on his deal.
But yeah, I forgot he signed one of those like lifetime deals. I forgot. Yeah.
He signed like a 13-year, $400-something million contract. Like right when Bryce signed his contract, like a month later, Trout signed for $100 more million. It was super.
Well, I mean, it probably looked like a great idea when Shohei was there, but they just did nothing with that.
Well, I think this was actually like maybe Shohei's rookie year.
Okay.
Or maybe the year before Shohei showed up that Trout signed this extension. He just got offered so much money, and I don't blame him for taking it. But
Oh yeah, absolutely.
the
It'd be
Angels
hard to
just
turn
can't
that
seem
down.
to do anything together with Artie Moreno there. He just seems to pick every wrong free agent in the book.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what they got going for them. Nothing. So,
Yeah, and before we get to the main topic of today, did you know that Blake Snell threw a no-hitter
no. When?
just now? It was like within the last 20, 30 minutes.
Oh,
I see
geez.
the things on Facebook. He blanked the Reds 3-0 in Cincinnati.
Wow, and that team is no offensive slouch either.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Snell is just on one of his benders again. He had 11 strikeouts, 3 walks, no hits.
I love the walks. I love that guy just will straight up walk people.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't even matter. But his stuff is so good. I think honestly, it's one of those things where everyone talks about like cutting down walks, and yeah, walks do come back to hurt you. But with how good batters are, you just need to walk someone every once in a while just to keep them honest. I
We
think
can
so.
we can talk about that with your Mariners team in a little while because that's something that your pitching staff does is have them pitch the zone quite a bit.
Oh yes, that's all they ever talk about. George Kirby this, George Kirby that. And meanwhile, Logan Gilbert is like, yeah, I'm just casually the best pitcher on the team, no big deal.
All right. Well, this past week we had the MLB trade deadline, and we had talked about some of the moves prior to the deadline, but there were a lot of moves that happened after we recorded our last show.
Yeah.
The Dodgers made a couple of moves there. They went and got Jack Flaherty from the Detroit Tigers, one of the best pitchers available.
Yeah.
And they also managed to get pretty boy Kevin Kiermaier from the Blue Jays, an excellent defensive outfielder. They went
Yeah,
out
he's
and
gonna be
got
good.
Ahmed Rosario again to be a depth piece in the infield. And they even pulled off a trade where they managed to get Tommy Edman, and
Yeah,
it
I
was
saw
part of
that.
a three-way trade. And they got Michael Kopech as well from Edman played for the Cardinals, and Kopech played for the White Sox. It was a part of a three-way trade.
Yeah.
I think they were major winners at the deadline.
Yeah. I mean, they got graded out pretty high. The Yankees and the Mariners, surprisingly, all got like A's and B's, and a lot of the websites I looked at, and a lot of analysts said that they made off good with the trades. So
I think the Yankees did a really good thing at the deadline. They went out and got Jazz Chisholm as well. They went and added Mark Leiter Jr. The only thing they didn't really do at the deadline was add a starting pitcher because they kind of needed one.
yeah,
I know that they were definitely interested in Flaherty, but Flaherty, something in his medical scared off the Yankees, probably his back issues.
yeah, I think it was like his lower back thing is what I was reading about it.
I've had Flaherty on my fantasy team this year, and he's had multiple injections in his back. So I
Yeah,
definitely think that scares some teams off. But I feel like that the Dodgers managed to get Flaherty for a lot less than what some of the other starting pitchers were going for out there.
yeah. Oh, I mean, they made off with a steal. I mean, but they're used to the older pitcher. Yeah, they're all just.
Flaherty's not old though. That's the thing.
Oh wait,
Flaherty's
yeah, that's
young.
right. That's right.
I think
But
Flaherty's
what I
like,
what I meant by that was, they're all just shooting up cortisone trying to make it to
oh
October.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I was listening to a podcast today, and like that was something that pretty much every pitcher is doing to some degree. So
Yeah. It's just, I mean, you look at the pictures of the position of the arm throwing a baseball as a pitcher, and, you're surprised they just don't start with that the whole season. So,
yeah, yeah. So I think the a lot of the sellers did really well because of the fact that the prices just seem so high for
yeah.
assets. The Rays managed to get a ton from other teams out there. They sold anybody that moved.
Dude, I
And
think they pulled one over on the Cubs too in that trade. So
yeah. Yeah, the thing and I don't know if you're aware, but there's a whole thing about the Delman Young trading tree where
no,
the
no.
where they've basically tracked every single player and move that resulted from one trade of Delman Young, and the Rays turned that one player into like a dozen other players that played way better than him. And so there's another similar trade tree out there, which is the Tyler Glasnow. Sorry, the Chris Archer trade, where
Uh-huh.
the Rays traded Chris Archer for Tyler Glasnow, Shane Baz, and Austin Meadows.
That's
So you
insane.
know that the Dodgers got Glasnow this year for Ryan Pepio and I think another
Yeah.
outfielder player.
I'll have to, Jerry, are you paying attention, Jerry?
The other side of the trade, Austin Meadows. Austin Meadows got traded to the Detroit Tigers. And Meadows was like a really good player for the Rays, but then he went to Detroit and then everybody found out he had mental issues. And he's never well, I don't want to make light of it, but he
Yeah,
basically fell off the face of the earth after
yeah.
going to
Yeah, I guess
Detroit.
that's not I'm sorry for laughing. I guess that's not
Yeah.
really funny.
And so the person that they got for Austin Meadows was Isaac Paredes.
Oh man, yeah.
And now they basically just turned Isaac Paredes into Christopher Morel, a cheaper version of Isaac Paredes, basically, in
Yeah.
terms of power and things like that. He'll probably just be a DH down there because he's supposed to be terrible in the field. But this is what the Rays do, and I think they're getting ready to retool for their next major
Yeah, I'm actually excited to
stadium
watch
coming
them
out.
next year. It looks like they're going to have a good team next year.
Well, they might have a good team next year, but they're really building for 2028.
Yeah, and they got Hunter
That's when they're
Big
opening
too
up a new
out of that
stadium.
trade. So
I'm sorry, we say
Hunter Big
Hunter
out
Big.
of that trade too, and he should be interesting to watch. He'll probably be their closer next year, or at least give Pete Fairbanks a run for his money. So
Well, we've had that discussion before about what I think about the Rays closer situation.
yeah,
I think Fairbanks will probably get traded too at some point, maybe in
yeah.
the offseason.
At some point, I thought that apparently he was supposed to be traded this year, and Jason Adam was supposed to take over the role, but obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
Well, Fairbanks has had his fair share of health issues.
yeah,
One team that made a lot of moves that I honestly don't really think did a great job was the Baltimore Orioles.
yeah. I was reading a lot of people like for instance, Eloy Jimenez. When is he going to play? Where is he going to play?
I think
Like,
they're still
are they
figuring
just going
that
to
out.
platoon the whole outfield? Like,
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know what Eloy brings to the table at this point.
yeah,
He's
that
super
was,
fragile and can only DH.
and you still have Ryan Mountcastle, Ryan O'Hearn. Like, I don't know. So,
I was wondering what they were thinking getting Trevor Rogers.
yeah,
He just since his rookie year, he has just been a very mediocre to bad pitcher. And they gave up good assets to get him. I
yeah.
know he's
I
like under team control for a couple more years, but that
yeah.
deal looked really bad in my view.
Well, I mean, the other thing for them is they still have all their top prospects, but then they're also holding on to them for a while. You would have thought that if, they were really, they kind of have everything there. And I was surprised they didn't just go out and like get Tarek Skubal or Tanner Scott or, because they had so much offense to trade to really just, win this year, essentially.
I wonder if the teams that were the sellers wanted more of the prospects than the Orioles wanted to give up, and they kind of had to settle for what they could get for those lower level prospects.
Yeah, that must have been it because
The
because with
Stowers
the
and the
talent that
Norbies of the
they
world.
had to give away, I mean, it'd just be
Well, I mean,
surprised.
they may not have wanted to give away Keston Herstad or, Jackson Holiday, who they just called up, and Colby
Yeah,
Mayo, who they just called
yeah.
up as well, because a couple of their other young players are hurt.
Apparently
think
they have
though.
30 men on the roster now, so they're gonna have to lose 3 of them somewhere.
Well, I mean, they've
So,
had some injuries and stuff too.
yeah.
So, Westberg went on the injured
Oh,
list. So,
4 of them. Yeah. There you
yeah.
go.
So, I mean, they'll figure it out. Maybe the Orioles will make a bigger move in the offseason, but I just didn't. I wasn't really all that impressed. Eflin's okay,
Yeah.
but I
But
just
I
thought
thought that
Trevor
was a pretty
Rogers
good
was
move,
bad.
but yeah. Who
Uh,
did you think the player, the most surprising player to not be traded was for you?
I mean, if it wasn't for Garrett Crochet's comments that he made, if I hadn't heard about those, I would have said Crochet.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a little surprised Robert didn't move.
Yeah. Yeah. What about
Um,
Kyle Finnegan? I was kind of surprised that he didn't go somewhere.
yeah, I mean, any closer that didn't really move would have been a surprise for me. Is Michael Rooker. I mean, not Michael Rooker. I'm getting the actor confused with Brent Rooker from the
Yeah.
Oakland A's.
Yeah.
Um, he's a guy who Oakland really needed to move on from, and he has just been a phenomenal hitter.
Yeah.
What
I'm
reason do you
I'm
have to keep?
surprised.
The A's just didn't really sell anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I
sold
mean,
like one or two relievers, and obviously they couldn't really trade Mason Miller because he was injured. But
yeah.
yeah,
I was happy to see Urseg. I thought that Urseg was going to be traded earlier this year. So,
yeah,
yeah, confusing. I mean, Brent Rooker, you would have thought could have been. I know you can't trade in the division, which is unfortunate for the Mariners because they could have really used.
didn't seem to matter to the Rays,
Yeah, I think that's true.
and
So,
that's telling.
yeah, the Rays just had a fire sale
I'm
So,
surprised they didn't sell more. I mean, I heard rumors about Fairbanks. Obviously, I heard Yandy Diaz too. He was a guy they were talking about moving.
yeah, okay.
I mean, Houston went out there, and I don't think they did particularly well. They got
No.
Kikuchi, and I know he pitched well tonight, but they gave up a lot to get Kikuchi, and I thought their bigger issue was first base.
Yeah, they really overpaid for Kikuchi, and they DFA'd their first baseman before the All-Star break. So
Yeah, I mean they DFA'd Abreu, and I know they needed pitching, but that's guys seeing what Kikuchi went for, seeing what Eflin and Trevor Rogers went for. And
yeah,
then you see what the Dodgers were able to do to get Jack Flaherty and all of their trades. They basically only
yeah.
gave up one prospect in their top 20 and not
I
even a
love
top 5.
I love the meme you sent of the SpongeBob SquarePants where it's giving away free money, but they're just giving away free players, and the guy goes, "Oh, I'm gonna go get in line again."
The White Sox, they kind of screwed up at the deadline thing.
Yeah,
They needed to get rid of Robert and Crochet, and Crochet didn't do him any favors by what he said about not wanting to pitch in the postseason without an extension. That kind
yeah,
of messes with a team's ability to get other teams to be interested.
yeah,
But that was just I feel like they really needed to sell more than they did.
yeah. I'm bummed that Luis Robert Jr. didn't get to go to a contender because that would have been fun to watch him play somewhere.
I mean, I think he's got more control, so he'll probably get traded in the off season. That might be
Yeah,
an easier move for a team to make then.
yeah.
What do you think about the Giants?
I was super high on them. I mean, I still think they're my dark horse to win the World Series from the National League. Who did they acquire at that deadline?
Well, they didn't really acquire a whole lot. They actually traded Alex Cobb
Yeah,
for
I saw him go. Yeah,
he went to the Guardians. He hasn't pitched all year. He's been injured. They traded Jorge Soler, their big free agent acquisition, to the Braves.
yeah, that's right.
And
Oh,
they
so yeah,
traded
he's
Luke
gonna go.
Jackson too.
Yeah, I was reading someone said that the Braves acquire Jorge Soler and are just by magic going to make it 2021 again. That's what
Well,
they
they
did. The
kind of
trade
are. I
deadline.
mean, they already have Adam Duvall. and
Yeah.
Ahmed Rosario too.
Yeah.
Like they have everybody there but Jock from that
Oh,
like
yeah.
outfield class that they brought in.
Yeah. Mark Kenya. Yeah. So the Giants did absolutely nothing. I guess
Oh,
they
and
think that
Luke
they
and
already.
Luke Jackson was on that 2021 team too.
Yeah. Yeah. He was.
And that
Yeah.
was the year they won the World Series and Acuna was hurt, so they just got all these random outfielders. And the
Made it
only thing
work,
was
man.
that the Braves are paying all of Soler's contract.
Oh, really?
And Soler, I believe, has 2 more years at 28 million left on there.
What did the Giants get for him?
They basically got nobody.
Yeah,
They
that
got
so they got
an
they
infield.
got nobody, and then they traded for Kanya, who is a nobody.
Well, I
So
mean, they
maybe,
basically, yeah, they Kana's okay.
yeah, he's okay.
He's a decent player, but he's not anything special.
Yeah, and
I've
maybe they just
heard.
think they're already there with this because their whole starting rotation's back now. So
Well, I kept hearing that they wanted to try to get below the salary. Sorry, the salary cap, the CBT line,
yeah,
low salary cap line, and
so
they
maybe
didn't
that's why
do
they
that.
moved. Oh, even with moving Soler, they still didn't get there. Huh?
No, they might
Huh.
be one of those teams we're talking about in a few weeks when the waivers, the waiver deadline happens, and everybody's trying to get somebody else to pay for their players the rest of the season and get under the cap.
Yeah, yeah, they probably will be if that's their goal and they failed at doing it. Then yeah.
What do you think about your Mariners? Gone long enough in without
I
talking
I
about that.
think yeah, I think that I actually really liked the Justin Turner trade, especially just for a year. All the guy has to do is just continue to bat 250 and just play the baseball he's been playing, and you're automatically one of the better players on the team, unfortunately, which is how bad the Mariners offense is. But
Justin
with the
Turner,
starting,
man, he is just one of those good locker room guys.
yeah, and he's won championships, and they got a lot of young guys in there. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, he's old," but I was really excited, and they're having him play first base too, which I think is great. So I thought out of all the additions, Randy Arozarena, you need a clutch guy. You got a clutch guy with him. Still a lot of swing and miss, but like he's a fun player to be around. I'm curious to see if they'll do Randy Land next to the no fly zone in Seattle. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah, would be.
Um,
He's going to be there for at least 2 more seasons.
yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying.
he's not a
It would be
rental.
real fun. So to turn the pen into Randy Land since it's already just like a drunken stand up, whatever. So yeah, you just need the offense to be passable, which is how good the pitching is. And I think that these two moves, that you're not going to get anything big with Jerry. He just doesn't like doing that. And I thought what we got with who we gave away was pretty awesome. And I like the Yimi Garcia since it looks like, unfortunately, oh man, he's on my fantasy team, and I just Gregory Santos. Unfortunately, Gregory Santos, I just don't think is going to be able to play enough here to be meaningful to the
Didn't
team.
Gregory Santos traded to the Baltimore Orioles?
No, he's still on the team.
I thought
Yeah,
Santos was traded. Hold on.
he was traded to the Mariners from someone.
Oh, so what you're saying? Well, yeah, they were like Santos, Soto. Okay, maybe I'm thinking somebody else here.
Maybe Gregory Soto or
I'm thinking
something.
Gregory Soto, who got traded to the
Yeah.
Baltimore Orioles.
Yes, Gregory Soto did get traded to the Baltimore Orioles. So yeah, but Santos, unfortunately, he's on the IL again. So I should give Yimi Garcia plenty of playing time as the higher leverage guy. So
Well, I'll tell you, you guys blanking the Phillies so far tonight.
yeah, handily. And I had oh man, Tyler Phillips because he was playing so well. And his ERA is going to jump up just a little bit from 1.8. So
1.8 to 4.39. I'm looking at the box score right now.
So I think I checked in the third inning or whatnot, and Um, I was like 8-3, or no, 8-0 already in the third or
Yeah,
something like that, and I was
that's
just like, all
bad.
right, don't need to watch this game. So I still don't know if the Mariners. I mean, watching them play your Sox and just not be able to have a runner on third with no outs and not even be able to score one run makes me think they're probably one more clutch batter away from winning the whole entire thing. Now, given that the Astros didn't do anything, I think that they probably have enough to win the division, which by default will take them into the playoffs, and will be the first division win since 2001. Which will prove me wrong because I said at the beginning of the year I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. But I really hope, I really want them to go to the World Series, but I just don't know if that they're there yet, especially with the other teams they're going to have to go through to get there.
Well, remember Julio's still hurt right now too, so he
Yeah,
can
but
come
I
back
feel
and
like
be that
Julio.
spark again.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope he is.
He went
I
on
feel like
a
Julio
hot
and
streak in
JT could.
August last year.
Yeah, yeah, he did. But then cooled way down in September. So I'd rather just have him be terrible in August and awesome in September.
Yeah,
Um, if
that's
he's going to pick and choose which months he likes to be hot in. So
What do you think about the San Diego Padres?
dude, they got Tanner Scott, which surprised me. It
They
really,
went
really
and got
surprised me.
Tanner Scott. They went and got Jason Adam too.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
they have probably the best bullpen in baseball, I would say.
I mean, if Gregory Santos and the big right-hander, oh man, the guy who throws sliders on the Mariners, they were both healthy with Andres Munoz, I would disagree with you, but because they're not, I do absolutely agree with that statement.
I mean, I think still have Estrada who had like 13 consecutive strikeouts at one point earlier
Yeah.
this year. He's got filthy stuff. Robert Suarez has got filthy stuff. And you
Oh
got
yeah, I
Scott and
forgot about
Adam.
Suarez.
You
Yeah.
got Scott and Adam there too. And they even got a starter in Martin Perez, who is okay at this point, and just somebody to eat some innings until they can get Musgrove and Yu Darvish back.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Even their B, so they always have like the A and B in the bullpen. Even their B bullpen, if you want to look at it that way, is like much better than some A's. So
yeah. They've got a lot of weapons in that bullpen and can really be a dangerous threat in the playoffs.
yeah, and that would be really fun to watch as well.
Yeah,
I
they're
think
they're a
they
fun
have the
team.
offense for it. So
Well, I gotta get the elephant out of the room here too with the Red Sox because they acquired a couple of relievers. They acquired Lucas Sims from the Reds and Luis Garcia from the Angels. They also went out and reacquired James Paxton from the Dodgers, basically because the
yeah,
Dodgers
how
thought
do
he
you
was
feel
so
about
bad.
Paxton?
Uh, I wasn't impressed with Paxton. He
Because
was
you gave us the win, and then it took us 10 innings to lose to you after he pitched. So I felt a little mad about that. But
Oh, I mean, Paxton just walking so many guys.
yeah, and he does not have the stuff to get out of it that often.
No,
So,
there was a reason they didn't sign him in the offseason because he basically
yeah,
fell off a cliff after the trading deadline last year, where it was a missed opportunity for the Red Sox to sell him because
yeah,
he was really hot going into the trade deadline last year.
yeah. I like the Luis Garcia move for you guys, though. I've always liked him as a reliever. So,
What do you think? Who do you think is going to do the best of these teams that, made moves at the deadline?
oh
Like
man,
thinking forward for like the rest of the season, like who really got the players they needed to take them forward.
I mean, probably the Yankees probably look the best. As much as I hate them,
Yeah, Jazz has already hit multiple home runs since joining the club.
I mean, that's what they really needed. And Judge is out of the center, so you got him where he needs to be. And it just seems like, he every single game he just wants to play and make a difference. And that's kind of what the Yankees were missing. They were almost kind of just like business as usual for a minute there. And he's really, added some youthful exuberance to an already, great team. So I
Yeah,
think getting Mark Leiter Jr. was really great for them as well too. So
I think Flaherty is going to succeed in LA. All he has to do is basically just be 80% of what he was in Detroit, and he'll be like the best pitcher next to Glass now on that rotation.
yeah. So you're gonna go with LA. I mean, the Phillies are so good too. So I guess Yankees as my AL and Phillies as my NL. So.
I'm going to take the Dodgers because I think they just got more pieces. Tommy Edman was a really solid player. If they can get anything out of him, that's a win. And Flaherty's really good. Kopech has always had major potential, and if maybe the Dodgers can figure out how to fix his control issues, he might be an effective closer for them.
Oh yeah, if the Dodgers can fix him, which isn't out of the question at all.
No, not at all. Kopech was one of the major pieces that the Red Sox sent to the White Sox for Chris Sale.
Yeah,
He was no joke of a prospect. He was expected to be a starter, and then he morphed into a bullpen guy with his electric fastball.
Yeah. Yeah, that will be fun to watch. I think I saw him. He's a big lefty, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I saw him throw a couple of games in as the closer for the White Sox, and I was like, how is this guy not like a much bigger deal than he is? And I guess because he's been a starter / middle reliever, I think he's really going to find a home for himself if he can throw some strikes when he needs to. So
yeah, I mean, if anybody can fix a pitcher, it's Mark Pryor of the Dodgers.
yeah,
That same Mark Pryor from the Cubbies back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. Or Pete Woodworth from the Mariners. He seems to take people who are on their way out, give them 2 more good years, and then send them into broadcasting. So
the Cubs were interesting with what they did at the deadline. They basically acquired players for the future, not so much for this year.
yeah, and we're buyers for the most part too.
Yeah,
for the
no, they
future.
were buyers for next year, but not really sellers for this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if they didn't want to move someone like Bellinger. They were rumors
Probably
about
not.
that.
I mean, if you're going to get Paredes back and you have all those, they have the Crow Armstrong and a couple of really good younger guys, and then they got Imanada.
I mean, I had heard they were talking about trading Jameson Taillon at the deadline.
Oh, really? That's not that surprising, but because you also got Tauchman too, Javier Assad's pitching really well. I mean, they look like they could be really good next year by adding a couple more things.
Well, maybe they'll be more active in free agency.
Probably. I mean, you would have to assume, given what they did at the trade deadline this year, right? So
yeah. What do you think about the World Series Texas Rangers? What do you think about their deadline?
Did they even do anything?
I mean,
they
traded away Michael Lorenzen, and they went out and let's see, they went out and got a couple of players. They went out and got Carson Kelly, who was a catcher, and they went and got Andrew Chafin from the Tigers, a left-handed bullpen guy.
Okay. I mean, I guess just meh is how I feel about it. But...
yeah, I mean, they kind of need to get some starting pitching now because Scherzer just went on the injured list again. for his fatigue on his shoulder and
Yeah, I
whatnot.
think they need to move on from those older guys, in my opinion. No offense to those older guys, but you got to either have a really deep pitching farm, or you can't, you know, you just can't have those guys taking up space on your roster because they can't. It's going to be like Justin Verlander, where they play maybe, I'm assuming they're just kind of like stringing, like the Astros are stringing Verlander along until like the end of August, and if he pitches well at the end of August, they'll just like help us make the playoffs if they're even still in contention by then. So
I
that's kind
believe
of how I feel like the
Scherzer.
Rangers are doing. So
I believe Scherzer was a free agent, and I know those rumblings about whether or not they would sell in general, and if they would have moved him at the deadline.
yeah, I think the Rangers are one of those teams that are just in true limbo. Obviously, they'll take the win and going back to the playoffs, but I honestly don't really see that happening. I think that they had a really great year. They won the World Series, and they're just kind of like, like, we'll keep playing baseball and we'll see what happens in the worst division in the league. So,
The Royals, I feel like, are going to make the playoffs this year because they got to go 12-1 against the White Sox.
yeah,
I
I
really
mean,
feel like they just had this ability and they padded their stats and their wins so much. There was a
they
year
added
where
someone really that I thought was they made a really good trade. Um, God, who was I was looking at? Yeah, continue to talk about what you're talking about. I'm gonna try to see if I can find this. So,
I feel like the Red Sox are going to miss the playoffs because of the Royals just getting to play the White Sox 12 times.
yeah, man, doesn't that make me mad?
And there was I remember a couple of years ago the Phillies made the playoffs in a similar manner. They snuck in as the sixth seed, and it was because they won like 25 games against the Nationals and the Marlins.
That's, I mean, hey, whatever it takes, right? The
Or no,
Mariners
no,
are
it
playing.
might have actually been more than that. I'm getting my numbers mixed up. It might have been like 32 out of like 36 games or something ridiculous. It was I'll have to go back and look it up because I remember that they won just all three of those teams. Like this is I think when the Mets had a 100-win season. So like the Mets, the Braves, and the Phillies just all murdered and got like 30 or something wins against those two teams at the bottom of the division. And like you're talking about the team that won, 88 games in the Phillies, I think that year. And they got like 30 of them from those two garbage pail kids in the bottom of the division there.
I mean, hey, the Mariners are playing the Athletics and the Angels, and we can't even beat the Angels. So at least they went out and got it done.
Yeah, I'll give them credit for that.
Lucas Urseg, that was. I think the Kansas City will really benefit from having Lucas Urseg, the A's reliever. That's who the A's traded in their bullpen. So,
Well, who do you think of the major buyers at the deadline is going to miss the playoffs kind of an unexpected way?
ooh man.
Or if any of them do?
So I think, and this may be a hot take, but I think the Orioles are the team that's going to miss the playoffs because too much of a good thing, and they're just not going to know when and where to put people at this point in time, especially in that outfield. What about you?
I don't think the Orioles are going to miss the playoffs because they are, winning the division right now and only 2 games back from having the best record in baseball.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, I mean,
I guess
it
that's
would
true.
it
Yeah.
would take a major fall for them to miss the playoffs. Although they're tied with the Yankees, and the Yankees have a 3.5 game lead in the wild card. So I guess that's possible. My pick is going to be the World Series representative of the National League last year, the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I
yeah.
don't know what is gonna go on with their starting pitching, but they signed Eduardo Rodriguez, and he has yet to pitch this year.
That
He
was,
went out.
I forgot. I literally totally forgot that happened until you
I
just
forgot
said
about it
that
too
right
until I was
now.
listening to another podcast, and they reminded me of it today. Jordan Montgomery has been a disaster for that team.
And he really has. He really, really has.
Yeah, I mean, Blake Snell managed to turn it around from coming in late because he's just
Yeah.
a weirdo that needs like a few months of tinkering. And then once he figures it out, he just becomes the
Yeah.
best pitcher in the world for 2 months.
It's all you need him to be too. So
Yeah. He takes time to figure it out, but Montgomery's just never gotten his feet under him this year.
yeah, man. And he only did the 1 year deal and he fired his agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to go well for him next year, unfortunately, which is stupid because he should have got his money this year. But
It's possible he may opt in if he's not getting what he's looking for
yeah,
out of the gate because you're right. He probably isn't worth much more than a 1 year prove it deal after how bad this year went.
yeah. And I honestly, I really like the guy as a pitcher. So I hope
Oh yeah,
that,
I got no issue with him.
yeah, I hope that he turns it around. So
I think he's capable. He just kind of needs to have a regular off season and just get back into the groove. Sometimes people just have a bad year and they're able to
yeah,
fix it around. As long as he's healthy, he should be able to do that. And that's always a big question mark with the pitchers.
yeah. Well, and he's probably just one of those routine oriented guys, and having his whole routine thrown off probably just
Oh,
didn't help. So
no, definitely not. Um, and that's gonna pretty much do it for the show today. Do you have any last words you want to add, Shane?
oh yeah. So the largest trade in baseball history went down November 14th, 1954, between the New York Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles. It was a 17-player trade.
17 players?
17 players, yeah.
Was
And
there any players that we may have heard of?
they didn't finish the trade until December 1st.
Oh, probably like a bunch of player to be named laters have been there.
Yeah, so you probably know Don Larson and Bob Turley.
Ooh. That was,
So,
I know Don Larson. I don't know the other guy.
future Bob Turley was just coming on, but he was the future 20 game winner.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah.
A lot of people won 20 games back in those days.
Yeah.
But that's a story for another day. This is Dr. Griffin signing off.
Bye
Shane,
now.